Today we're going to look at the outcast for 2024 economic situation. So now from the recording of this video is during June, and we still have a few months down the line before it hits around fall and the winter season. So far, the US is spending substantial amount of money to sustain the economy. Now, JPMorgan Chase chief executive Dimon warns that this growth is driven by government expenditures and increasing deficits.
Now, the one thing you got to be cautious about, a lot of it is driven by just fiscal spending. So even today, the deficit is 6% of GDP, almost $2 trillion. That's driving a lot of this growth, and that will have other consequences possibly down the road, called inflation, which may not go away like people expect. So when I look at the range of possible outcomes, you can have that soft landing. I'm a little more worried that it may not be so soft and inflation may not quite go away people expect. I'm not talking about just this year, I'm talking about 25 and 26. The rates may have to go up a little higher. I'm talking about the 10-year rate, the 5-year rate, and that can have consequences. So we'll see.
Now, based on the recent interview, he knows that today's deficits are larger and happening during prosperous times. It is not because of recession in this case. They are being supported by quantitative easing, meaning a strategy that wasn't used before the great financial crisis, as in back in 2008. So they changed their plan. Now, he warns that a lot of it is driven by fiscal spending that is driving a lot of growth, but may have consequences down the line. It may not be a very effective soft landing, and inflation may not go the way as people expect, because the government expects that inflation will be sustained around 2 to 3%, mainly 2%. Now, thus, Treasury rates may have to go higher, and it may cascade into higher mortgage and loan interest rates going up, which impacts lower income individuals who may find it harder to manage borrowing costs. But personally myself, do you feel optimistic about the economy? If you feel that way, it may not be the case. You are not the only one, that as many Americans do feel a disconnect from Dimon says. That is because of the different groups that you may be in, because your situation may differ from other people's situation, and my situation differs from other people's situations. It depends where you're at.
The different consumers here. So the bottom 20% of America have not done particularly well over the last 20 years. Incomes barely went up. Remember, suicide, fentanyl, crime, inflation. There are a lot of negative effects. Some people can't get mortgages, can't buy the home. So yeah, there's part of society who's kind of struggling, there's part of society who's not. And
as you know, higher income individuals typically have more access to financial resources. You look at things such as savings, investments, and borrowing power, which is credit, allowing them to invest in appreciating assets that increase their wealth over time. Rising interest rates benefit their savings and investments, while lower income individuals face higher borrowing costs, making financial management more challenging in many aspects. The job market also favors higher income individuals who generally have more secure jobs with better benefits, whereas lower income jobs are less stable and more susceptible to economic downturn. Now, based on an annual letter to JPMorgan shareholders, I quote unquote, "The deficits today are larger and occurring in boom times, not as a result of recession, and they have been supported by quantitative easing, which has never been done before since the great financial crisis," quote unquote.
I think the Fed was probably late in raising rates. They caught up. They're probably right and watching right now. We don't know what's going to happen. You might as well wait. We also don't know the full effect of QE. I'm a little more on the cautious side of that. Most people have a general feeling that you can reduce the balance sheet by several $1 trillion and its effect will not be felt. I'm not so sure. We've never had it before.
Dimon states that the Fed made a mistake when they were too late to raise the interest rates, and they don't know what are the full consequences are when you do all of that money printing and rapid tightening. While all of this money printing can provide short-term economic stimulus, like let's say for example during 2020, during the pandemic, it can lead to inflation, asset bubbles, and increased inequality. Now, by tightening monetary policy, it is necessary to control inflation, but keep in mind, it can result in higher interest rates, slower economic growth, and market volatility, the increase of debt burdens overall. So what do you guys think for the overall 2024 economic situation? Because keep in mind, we still have a couple months down the line, and a lot of people predict that it's going to be at least one interest rate cut this year. It's give or take. It depends on the CPI inflation report. Now, if the CPI inflation report doesn't do well, then maybe they're going to hold the interest rate at whatever percent they're holding at. I believe around 5.5 to 5.75. And some people are saying it's going to increase. But right now, they're holding it there because you think about it. Do you think the government's going to let the stock market collapse? Most likely not. And you just look at what happened back in 2008 and when GM failed. The car company wasn't doing well. And guess what happened? Obama bailed them out. So are they gonna let the stock market crash? Let me know what you think down below. Personally, I don't think it's gonna happen. Click subscribe and a like button. I'll see you guys next time.